Yo guys, it's Sugi, and today I'm going to teach you how to play AP Nidalee. I'm actually going to make an AD Nidalee guide at some point, but the playstyles are very different, and I'm going to teach you how to really play the AP one this time. And let's get started with abilities. So your first one is Prowl. This gives you movement speed bonus while being on the brush. It doesn't have a timer until you leave out the brush, and that lasts 2 seconds. So every time you run or catch people, try to move to the brush to get that 15% movement speed bonus to, close the gap, so to speak. First ability is called Q, the Javelin Toss, and this deals damage based on how far you threw it from, okay? And the minimum scaling is 65% AP, but the max damage is increased by 250%, so almost 3 times the initial damage if it's a max range spear. So you always want to throw them from distance, and always the playstyle emphasis that you will poke the enemy down before you engage with your team. That's a really smart thing to remember. You never want to just throw one spear and go in. You just want to keep people at lower than 50%, then maybe clean off, unless they And blue and any mana region sources are really good for Nidalee because you just want to throw spears as much as possible and fast as possible. But sometimes a lot of people do that. Every time the spear is out of cooldown, they throw. But you have to take time to aim and throw the maximum range spear if possible. Never throw the spears on melee, they don't do that much damage, at least on the early levels, so it's really important to throw the max spear, and this is the ability you max out first. The other side is takedown, and it's pretty much like scales from AD, and it deals more damage than the enemy has lost health. So this increases by 2% by every 1% of the missing health. So in the Cougar 4 combo, you go in with W, then you E, and then you Q. The Q always has to be a last, because the damage will increase more when the health is lower on the enemy. And the second ability is Bushwhack, and it's just traps that reduce magic and armor. These are really good for hitting spears. If somebody goes to the trap and gets a spear, they probably die on the later levels. It deals like 2k damage probably with the right item set. It doesn't deal so much damage itself, and you should trap always the brushes on the mid lane so you won't get ganked, and you will always spot the enemy jungle. Also the Cougar form is Pounce, and that will just leap forward. There's a few places you can't leap from, and there's few leaps you can leap from. You can leap to Baron Bit from there's a place where there's the light bulb or whatever it's called, lantern. And there's like only one spot in those pits where you can leave from. And then we have the E, which is called the Primal Surge, and this is pretty much your standard heal. And this is the ability I max out second because poking is really annoying for Nidalee. Nidalee is a pretty squishy champion, so you want to heal on yourself on lane, so you wouldn't ignore the thing. It also gives you attack speed bonus, and that's a really strong thing because you can take turrets really fast, and actually the attack speed bonus will apply for the Cougar form as well. Also, you should always throw this to AD carry. And the Cougar form is Swipe, which deals damage to all nearby. And the ultimate is just the Cougar form. It just switches on the form. It has a 4-second cooldown, so you have to time things really precisely. And always use the Cougar form to farm. Don't use because they don't use mana, the spells, so it's easy grind. And that kind of is my philosophical things of the abilities. So the quick tip is never use Cougar form to go in. Just get them to below 10%, and when you're really confident you have 100% health and he has a 10% health, then you should go to Cougar form. But Cougar form is really risky in most cases because Nidalee is squishy. The items are pretty simple stuff. So you start with the Doran's Ring because you want the mana region, you want the AP, and you want some health. And after this you have two options. You go on Athene's or you go Tier. Tier is buffed on the last patch, so Tier is a really strong item right now, and you can easily farm up the Tier full with Cougar farm, and also with the new passive which just grants a stack every 8 seconds, which is really good, and you get it to filled it up really fast. Usually I build it both because Athene's also gives you the shield. The Tier, the Archangel staff gives you the shield, which is really important for Nidalee. Even if you use barrier, all 2 shields are always really important to have. The second item always should be, or in this case third item should be Rabadon's. Then comes Void Staff. Then at some point you wanna upgrade boots to AP boots, and then there you have like 2 options. You can Zonaya. Zonaya is a pretty good item, but in a sense it gives you a really good AP boost, gives you armor, but the minute somebody comes in, if you're against Y or something, you're dead, you know, just no escape with Nidalee pretty much. So Zonaya is kind of good for those situations, but if you get caught on somebody cap closest to you, you're all pretty much dead. And I usually build Leanders and Realize sometimes because those give some sustain, and when the spear's slow it's easier to land another spear. You should also build something really like AP heavy. You know, you want to get max out AP in this champion just because the spears are just so good. But you know, AP Nidalee is very situational right now because the game is very tanky. You have opponents like Mundo, Leona. You can't kill those. You can't really kill those. You can't kill opponent with 200 AP, 200 MR, sorry. So always pick the Nidalee against matchups that are really squishy. Things you should ban. Always ban Leblanc. That's a really high-end opponent you want to face. Malzahar is really good against Nidalee, actually. He's really good. Nidalee's good against like champions like Ari and TF and like really squishy. And just quickly about the AP items. Runes. AP per level, armor seals, magic penetrating reds, AP quints, and masteries are pretty much the same stuff. 21, 26, 4. You know, offense side is really important, and you can see the runes and masteries on the down below description. See you guys later, and you know, check out my other guides. We'll be making more guides very soon, and that 80 Nidalee guide is coming at some point. See you later.